Caitlyn, you've just completed your second bodybuilding prep. First time to the stage.
Yes.
Woohoo.
Yes. Woo, I made it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Explain to us how the maths isn't mathing right now. There's been 2 preparations.
Yeah.
One time to the show.
Yes. So first prep was 2020 through to 2021 into season A. However, I never quite made it to the stage, but I got 2 weeks out from that show. So I pretty much pulled out of that prep early due to some health concerns and swore off bodybuilding altogether. Then beginning of this year, I decided, why not? Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Jumped in 17 weeks out and I actually made it this time. So
Wow. What an
Yay.
effort. Great effort.
Congratulations.
thank
Yeah, well done.
you.
And not just made it to the stage, tell the listeners the placings.
Yes. So I don't even remember which category. I think it was bikini novice. I got 3rd out of 10 competitors. Then there was bikini first timers where I got 4th out of 10, and then bikini open. Yes, and I got 4th out of 7.
Awesome. That's a great effort. I saw you hustling away in the gym, like wearing a weight.
Yeah, my little
Weight
weighted
vest,
vest.
yeah.
That was a choice.
Yeah.
That was a choice. I
Yeah.
regret nothing, but my shoulders hated me for the most of prep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
And-
get my brain ticking about traps.
Yeah.
Yes.
What made you jump up on stage and do a bodybuilding prep?
Again, yeah, I started the year as in a bit of a position where I was kind of just unsure of what my goal was, and I was sitting in the gym training on January 1st, and I just had the thought of like, what if this is the year that I do it again? I called my coach that day and he and I chatted about it. I figured I had unfinished business with the sport. So I wasn't quite ready to put the heels away, even though I convinced myself for many years that I was. But I just decided that this was the year that I was going to prove that I actually could do it and I could do the hard thing.
Yeah.
And be that consistent in order to make it to the stage.
That's awesome. Yeah. And how did this prep compare to your previous prep?
Just nervous laughter. It was very different. So I know, Sam, you know a little bit about what I went through in my first prep, but comparatively, this time was it was significantly healthier than the previous prep. It was pretty much as healthy as a prep can get.
Yep.
Nice.
There was not a time in this prep where I necessarily felt like I was like in the trenches. Like I knew in the final 2 weeks, I was definitely going through a bit. That my calories were very, very low, but I didn't feel like I was necessarily suffering beyond the typical symptoms that you get in prep, like brain fog and fatigue.
Yeah.
So comparatively between the two, this one was more manageable, but also I was eating more the entire time. We largely attest that to the weighted vest. My cardio was significantly less than my first prep. My first prep, I was doing 45 minutes multiple days a week. This prep, I think I finished on 20 to 30 minutes of cardio 4 or 5 times a week, which was significantly less. I was training. Yeah, it just felt significantly more manageable and a lot more achievable than the previous prep did.
Guess that like shorter amount of time towards the end where you're on whatever calories you're on. What were you on towards the end? If you're okay with saying.
No, I'm totally okay. I will be transparent about it. Final 2 weeks of prep, I was in like the 800, 900 calorie
Wow.
mark. Yeah.
It's a great effort.
A last push
Yeah.
to get me stage lean because we
Yeah.
weren't sure if I was going to make it in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still you're able to sort of fight through that. And I mean, 2 weeks might sound like a short amount of time,
It
but
felt
I
like-
think every day probably felt pretty long.
Yes, yes. And a lot of my friends were watching me weigh my lettuce. So it was a very concerning and sad couple of weeks, but it was good. I don't regret it at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first prep was 30 weeks. So just for comparison, first prep was 30 weeks long.
Pretty much
this
half
prep was 17.
Yep.
Yeah. And we only needed to do the 800 calories for 2 weeks, while my previous prep, I think I was on it for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And you were starting in a much better position going into this second prep as well.
100%.
More muscle, less body fat, which is great. That's exactly how you should start a
More
bodybuilding
knowledge,
prep.
More knowledge, 100%.
Yep.
I was not a coach last
more
time.
literacy.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
wasn't a coach.
I didn't know that.
No,
There you go.
became a coach in, what year did I graduate? 2022, I
Yeah,
think was when
okay,
I
so
graduated
after
fit college. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I didn't, it was actually the reason I became a coach, that first prep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah, it like comes full circle, doesn't it? Like sometimes the worst thing to happen to you at the time can sometimes do a full circle and end up being the best thing to happen to you, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's led me to something that I'm so passionate about, and I'm so happy to be in the industry that I'm in.
Yeah, that's awesome. You obviously experienced a lot of challenging points along your preparation. Was there any standout hard points of the prep?
Ooh. That's actually a very good question.
Doesn't have to be one, it can be multiple.
I feel like you might have some in mind that I can't for the life of me think of right now.
Well, from the outside looking in, I mean, looking over and seeing you constantly on the treadmill, with the weight vest, I think that would probably be quite a challenging
I
point.
thought it was body armor the first time I saw it. I was like,
Yeah.
this is a fashion thing? Or?
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. See, I look at the weighted vest and I don't look at that as like a challenging thing because I just would pop it on and then I'd go.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll say that because the weighted vest, I think for every kilo that I lost, I had to add a kilo.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how that was working.
Okay.
So for every kilo that I lost, we would add a kilo. So by the end of it, my weighted vest weighed, I lost 17 kilos, but I ended up putting a
Wow.
little bit more. Yeah, 17
Kilo a
kilos.
week?
And, yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't have a stall throughout the entire time. And I would say that
amazing.
largely it was partially because I had a great coach
Yeah.
and my weighted vest was helping
Is that Scott?
significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can shout
Shout
him
out to
Yeah.
Scott. But yeah, so the weighted vest was definitely heavy by the end of it. I ended up with 20 kilos in my vest.
Wow.
Yeah. The steps felt pretty manageable until the very end where I was doing about 15,000. So it was a bit of a trek to try and get them whilst also running my business full time. And then navigating social events. I still had a social life throughout my entire prep. So I caught up with friends. I'd organized a paint a cake party about 8 weeks in. I made all the cakes and then sat there and watched everyone decorate them. I decorated one and then I gave it away.
You brought in some brownies.
I
Didn't
did,
you? For us?
yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the process of
They
starting.
were so good. You couldn't even taste them and they were great.
No, I could smell them while I was making them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was in the process of starting my cookie and brownie business. So I was working on that as well while also being in the depths of prep where I couldn't actually technically eat anything. So
With that 17-week prep in mind, are you planning to do another one?
yes.
Yeah.
We have had discussions. We are discussing in the next couple of years.
Cool.
There was a momentary thought of potentially maybe later this year, but I
No
think,
need to rush into it.
Yeah, no. And also we're 9 weeks out from that show. That's
Yeah.
not happening. So yeah, we're talking maybe season B next year.
Cool.
Maybe.
So October 2027. Yeah. So coming up to the next prep, what do you think you would do differently this time? Obviously you'd have a longer amount of time to do it, but is there anything else looking back on the first proper one that you did? Healthy one.
Probably
Stumped
just have more time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that was part of my feedback was just my conditioning needed to be a little bit more conditioned, and that's a
Yeah.
time thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
would say it's mostly time. I don't feel as though there was anything that I look back on and think that I would do it differently. I think everything that we did and the protocols that we used got the result that we wanted. So if I could
Yeah.
repeat that again and have a pretty similar outcome, I'd be happy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say it'd be hard having a shorter prep. For me, it feels like it would be hard to now have a longer amount of time and stick to it, even though you'd potentially be eating more
Yeah.
and maybe have less demand on a weight vest and all that type of stuff.
Yeah. I think
Maybe that might be a challenge.
Yeah, I think having that shorter deadline made it a lot more
I've got to lock
manageable
in.
because
Yeah.
there was like a light at the end of the tunnel. So it's like I could see it pretty
Yeah.
much from the beginning. It wasn't like I had 25 weeks of just, when is this going to end?
Yeah.
It was 17 weeks of a bit of a hard slog. Not as hard as it could have been if I hadn't had that vest, but that was a decision that both Scott and I had a conversation about in order to optimize the result. Because if I hadn't had that, I probably would not have been conditioned enough to step on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you have like an extra 3 months.
Yeah.
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 That's great.
Yeah, I think you should always be starting a prep in an optimal position. And if you do need that 30 plus weeks of prep, are you in the ideal position before you start? Probably not,
No.
right? So I think
Right.
preparation, it depends what category you're going into. Like if you're going into like bodybuilding or figure, yeah, probably like the larger preps, like 25, 30 weeks is needed to get that really conditioned.
100%.
But in like the men's fitness or men's bikini, the bikini categories, you can probably get away realistically being in a good spot prior and doing it 12 to 20 weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
Quite comfortably.
Yeah, I think that actually, now that I think about it, that might be something that I would do differently. So I had come out of the back end of last year where I'd spent most of the year dropping body fat.
Yeah.
So last year I think I had a 2-month period where I may have been sitting at maintenance in August and September, I believe it was. But I'd lost, over the last year and a half, it was 27 kilos in total. So I went from 80 down to stage weight, which was I think 54, so 26. But last year was 10, this year was essentially 17. So 9 kilos last year, 17 this year. So I did not enter into that prep coming off the back end of a maintenance phase or anything. We did 2 weeks of maintenance, which Scott was adamant that we were doing.
Yeah.
And I respected that. And then we jumped straight in.
Insane.
Yeah.
Looking back on the 26 kilos that you lost, could you take us through very briefly, I guess, a typical week of, training, nutrition, cardio?
Yeah. So prep was pretty consistent and my training and cardio stayed pretty much the same. And my training and my steps stayed pretty much the same as when I exited out of it.
Yep.
So I train pretty much 4 days a week. I maintain my steps. At the moment, my steps are at 12.5K. During prep, they went from, I believe, 9K up to 15K by the end of it per day. So it was definitely a mission to get them towards the end.
15K is a lot of steps.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm now in that habit now where I kind of maintain that naturally. Like I just will walk that much throughout the day because I'm just so used to it now. My cardio started at a couple of days for 10 minutes on the bike, just at a very slow, steady pace.
Yep.
By the end of it, I asked for Stairmaster halfway through. I got so bored of the bike.
Yeah.
Asked for Stairmaster, and by the end of it, I was doing like 30 minutes Stairmaster, maybe level 6 or 7, and just trekking it away. But I never wore the weighted vest doing that.
No.
Yeah. So it was pretty consistent with what I would generally do if I was just trying to lose fat, just at a higher level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at a bodybuilding prep and they look at it as like it's rocket science, but it's really not that complicated.
No.
It's just the volumes turned up on it, right? So from what you were doing previously, like prior to prep with your training and nutrition was very similar, but obviously you've just created a calorie deficit and a harsh one at that, increase your output up quite significantly and done that for a prolonged period of time.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And then nutrition is pretty much the same. Like
Yeah.
Yep.
I was going to
It's-
ask. Yeah.
the same, you prioritize your macronutrients and your micronutrients, especially during a prep. You want to make sure that everything is ticking the way that it needs to.
Yeah.
And then also the calorie deficit, the calorie deficit is the same that we would do in just a normal Gen Pop fat loss phase. It's just the intensity is turned up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gen Pop is pretty good from Monday to Friday.
Then Saturday and
weekends
Sunday
is
hits.
the tough one. That's a me thing as well. Gen Pop is me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
me
that's-
too right now.
Yeah. And that's the discipline side of it. So
100%.
I have not done a body prep yet, and I don't have plans to at the moment. I've picked running so far over that, but great effort all around.
Yeah, the thing with the bodybuilding prep is you need to be 110% on
at all
every
times.
single minute of the day. There's no off days. Like when you do a shred with a Gen Pop client, there can be a bit of variance. There can be, 80-90% compliance. Like you're still going to get great results. But, bodybuilding, it's like, hey, there are other people that are going to jump up on stage that didn't cheat on their diet, that did get all of their sessions in. And that always plays on your mind.
110%.
You're like, well, I don't want any regret stepping on that stage being like, shouldn't have had that.
But helpful competitiveness.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, without leaning into the comparison game.
Yeah, tough.
Tough
one. Fine line.
That's a rough one.
Yeah,
I even think throughout my prep, like I still had ice cream and Biscoff leading into the show. Like I was having small amounts of it, but I was able to still include some of the foods that I was enjoying, and it kept me more adherent because of the fact that I wasn't sitting there like ready to gnaw my arm off over wanting sugar. So we made sure to do that in order to keep me adherent, because I know my behaviors and I know what I'm like around food, especially if you cut those out.
Yeah. And has that made the reverse a little bit easier? I know the reverse is always really difficult and somewhat harder than the prep itself, but because you didn't deprive yourself of those foods, has that made the reverse a bit more manageable?
I would say yes. Yes, I think the reverse is definitely having its challenges, like as I expected it would. But comparatively between the reverse that occurred in my first prep, where I was not eating anything sweet or anything that I actually enjoyed in that prep, to now where we included some of the foods, I have significantly less of a focus on those foods. Like I'm still reaching for them when I need a little hit of dopamine, albeit that is a lot of like environmental stress and that kind of stuff rather than just the reverse itself. But I'm less likely to then spiral and go and eat like an obscene amount of it because I've had it and I don't feel necessarily deprived of it.
Yep.
Such a good point about the dopamine. This is something that me and my coach, who is one of your coach's clients and cousin, a coach we share, Riley.
Yes. Also, shout out to Riley.
Yeah, shout out to Riley. They both love Biscoff, just quietly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they really do.
The dopamine thing I just learnt about. He's like, you might not even, like, you obviously like the food. Like, if I'm going to have a packet of Cheez Whiz, I freaking love Cheez Whiz. Like, who doesn't? Yeah. But he's like, you're chasing dopamine. You might not even know it. And we have these spikes of dopamine when we eat these foods and then this huge crash. Yeah. And then we're like, all right, I need more now. Yeah. And it's not because you maybe want the food as much. It's because you're looking for that high.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And that translates.
What a eureka moment for me. I was like, you just explained that so well. Probably something that you explained to me at some point in time that I completely ignored.
Probably.
But yeah, I was just like, wow, there you go.
Scott and I had a pretty similar conversation post-show where the day you've just worked up to it for 17 plus weeks and you get to the stage, you get a dopamine high because you've just like either won or you got there. And then usually 90% of the time if you're backstage, you see competitors gorging on them, like on cookies and cakes and brownies and all sorts. And I did do a little bit of that. You often will see they'll get a dopamine hit from that, from both stage and then also the treats that they were eating. And then for the rest of their reverse, they're chasing that dopamine and they're chasing that high, but nothing quite meets it. And that's where that disrupted eating patterns start to pop up and they end up spiraling out of control. Yeah. So I think dopamine, especially if you're an ADHD, like an ADHDer, dopamine is definitely something that we chase.
I've been unofficially diagnosed by my partner.
Oh yeah, peer reviewed. We chase dopamine. And we're more susceptible to doing that just because our regulation is not where it should be.
Realizing that was potentially what I was looking for has really helped me with weekends and cravings and social events, because my my crew of people and my friends love a social event. They love alcohol, love going out to the pub. No issues with that. It's great. But yeah.
Yeah.
Really
And I
good
think
point.
if you're aware of it, then you know how to change it.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of it, you can't change it.
Yeah. For those listening, like obviously you can see all the bodybuilding shows on stage. It looks very glamorous. You know, you get all tanned, hair, makeup, bikini, all that great stuff. What actually happens after you step off stage and the show has been completed? What are the protocols? Where do you go next?
Yeah. So I think that does differ from athlete to athlete because it depends on whether or not they've got nationals coming up or if they're done for the season. So we were thinking about doing an extra show. I got to the end of it the next day post-burger. I kind of sat there and went, no, I don't want to do that again. I'm good. I don't want to do 2 more weeks of this.
Yeah.
So it really does depend. But for how it applied to me in this time around, it was focusing on setting some goals, being aware of the next few weeks and what it would look like for me psychologically coming off of stage, and then also setting myself up so I'm not going to end up with those spirals and those binges and things like that. So nothing necessarily changed in terms of training or cardio. Like cardio and training stayed the same. The nutrition was probably what changed. We immediately started the reverse diet, which was basically just where we slowly increased calories back up. We prioritized getting my hormones back into check because they
all over the place.
Yeah, they were a little bit all over the place. I did unfortunately lose my cycle, which is a common side effect, as you know, Sam. And I got it back within 6 weeks, which is actually really quick for a lot of competitors. Some will lose them for years. So yeah, it's pretty rough. But we focused on prioritizing nutrition and getting me back and recovered because it does take a toll on the body. Yeah.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like coming back up and being probably, even though you're aware, there's still maybe that little voice or devil in the back of your head being like, don't eat this, don't eat that. That's too many calories.
Yeah.
But you know, you need to feed yourself. Yeah. That's a tough one.
I think I wasn't as afraid of it as I thought I was going to be.
Good.
So I kind of threw my head, like I went head first into the reverse because I was so excited to eat more food. I was just like, yes, food. I think comparatively to the first reverse that I did coming out of my first prep, I was terrified of gaining weight. I gained it very rapidly because I was fighting it so hard. And I wasn't comfortable with how rapidly we gained it. So first prep, I gained 20 kilos in 4 months, which was pretty dang rapid. And most of that occurred in the first, I think, I looked back at the data, I reckon it was first 16 weeks. It came on fast. And this time around, I think we're 9 kilos up from my stage weight. And it's been a slow and steady kind of build. Yeah.
I want you to answer a question honestly.
Okay.
What was harder, the prep or the reverse so far?
The reverse. It's always the reverse. Yeah, the prep was brutal. Like it was good, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
The reverse has had its challenges, both on like mindset around body image, around food, knowing how to navigate cravings. Thankfully, I've got a lot more knowledge about how to navigate those these days. And I do have Scott in my corner. So when I am going into a bit of a tricky spot with the food, I give him a call. So I'm very thankful to be able to be in a position where I can call my coach if I need to. I think the reverse has been challenging in the sense of readapting to a different look. Like when you've been stage lean, your perception of yourself changes. And I didn't fully understand this until this prep because last prep I wasn't actually stage lean. I had zero business actually getting up on that stage. I definitely would not have placed. I was not conditioned enough at all looking back at the photos. But this time around, having seen myself at that level of body fat, everything beyond that feels soft.
Yep.
And that can be really hard because then clothes start fitting tighter. But then some people will buy clothes on prep. I made a conscious effort not to do that because I was aware of the fact that post-prep they would not fit. I had made that mistake in my first prep.
Yeah.
So feeling where you're wearing the same active wear leading into the show and then regaining body fat post-show, feeling that active wear get tighter, that has been not necessarily like hard to acknowledge, but definitely I'm noticing it.
Plays on your mind.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little
100%.
voice going, everything's tighter, your clothes are feeling icky, and you just become more aware of your body. So I've found that focusing away from what my body looks like has been really, really helpful.
Even I can relate with that as a not bodybuilder. I've got a very confused pair of jeans that I've had for a couple of years.
It took me a
that
second.
has been like
genetics.
my belly and hips have pressed against it and gone away, and I've had to use a belt and they've gone back, and so it's just there.
Yeah, body image is definitely something, bodybuilder or not, we all struggle with it at some point. I mean, there's probably some people that don't, but 90% of us or 95% of us have experienced some form of, like, I'd say dysregulated body image. Like, we're kind of just, you lose fat, then you have to gain a little bit of it back. Or even with women in particular, like we step into the gym and we build muscle, clothes fit differently, and no one tells you about that when you get into lifting. So when you have to get used to fitting into different clothes that you maybe felt more comfortable when you were smaller, it's definitely a bit of a head fuck. Yeah, because you have to adapt to it, and everyone has that little voice that goes, maybe I'll just lose a little bit more fat and then now I'll go back there, which is why bodybuilders get addicted to competing.
Yep.
Yeah, because they chase the lean, which is not healthy.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to tell the listeners about reversing out from a dieting phase, whether that be a competition prep or just a traditional gem pop dieting?
So as I think a lot of the listeners have probably heard you guys say a lot, it's the cut's not done until the reverses. That's stock standard. Like the prep technically isn't done until the reverse is done.
Yeah.
So if you go into a fat loss phase, it is vital that a reverse diet is completed because it does increase your chances of actually being able to maintain the result that you've just achieved.
Yep.
Often there are, like, obviously I'd say different categories. There's like 2 different categories of a reverse diet. So there's a reverse diet and then a recovery diet. Recovery diet is something we typically see in comp prep, while a reverse diet is something that pretty much anyone can do. And if your prep went well enough that you can just do a reverse and not a recovery diet, then sweet, amazing, that's really good. But a reverse diet is really, really important, and I think that it should never be skipped. And I also think that there should be a lot more education around what it is and why it's important and how to do it correctly. Because I've come across a few people recently, like sitting down, I was talking about the process of what we do for their goals, where it was fat loss and then reverse. And I got a blank stare. And what is a reverse diet? I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That is something that we're going to have to look at.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So I think there should be more education around what a reverse diet is and why it's so important.
Yeah, any coach can get you shredded. Like, you know, you can put into Chat GPT, you can get a 500 calorie meal plan made up and you'll lose the weight. But what happens after that?
Yeah.
You know, because I think we've all been in a position where clients come to us and they go, I keep trying to lose this 5 kilos and then I lose and then it comes back on just as quick and I end up putting on 10 kilos, you know? So that reversing process is incredibly important.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also as common as that is, a lot of the time I've also seen where people will come to us to lose the fat and then they go, okay, cool, bye. And they'll just disappear and they'll stop coaching. And it's like, no, the reverse diet needs to be done. So a lot of people will go in, they'll be like, yep, cool, I'm going to achieve the result. And then they think that that's where the journey stops. And they go, I've undone all of my weight gain. Time for me to move on my own. And I'm like, that's usually the point where you need to dig deep and continue with coaching.
That's the biggest part of it.
Because that's the part that's going to get you to keep it. But so many people will just, they think that it stops after they've lost the weight.
Yeah.
And it's not the case at all.
Yeah, this is a big reason why I increased my coaching terms, my minimum commitment from 12 weeks to 16 weeks.
I did the same thing.
Because you can probably get majority of people's goals done like in that 12 weeks, except for like substantial amount of weight loss. But then, people would leave and then they'll put it on. So doing that 16 weeks, you can diet with them for 12 and then you can reverse them for 4.
Yeah.
And that works out to be
Absolutely.
the sweet spot.
I feel like with good educators and good coaches, you should find yourself asking a lot less questions when you get towards the end of that 12 to 16 week period. Yeah. At the start, lean on them as much as you want, but you've got a good coach when you find yourself asking less questions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also leaning on your coach is a really important one,
yeah,
especially
it's okay. It's not a weakness. That's why they're there.
No. And like communicate with us because we want to be able to help, and we can only help with a cut and with a reverse if we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So open communication the whole time because it will make the reverse and the cut a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, a bodybuilding show is such a major goal to have, and that gave you a lot of drive to put your head down and achieve greatness. Obviously, once that show is complete, like, did you feel like you had you felt a bit lost because the goal had been achieved, or did you have your sights already set on something else straight after the show?
Momentarily, I felt a little bit like, oh, what next? I don't really know. And this was something that I did speak to Scott about because I remember a couple days afterwards, I was kind of just up in the air. I was like, I don't really know what I'm working towards. Do I do another show? Do I not? We pretty much honed in on essentially getting me recovered, but then it was, what can I focus on? And this was more of something that I worked on internally because last time it was focusing on maintaining a certain look, which I didn't achieve, but I tried my hardest and it did not work. So this time it was focusing on getting my strength back. If I could get my strength back, that was a good indicator to me that I can then continue to build tissue and I can feel good in my body. And I took that from my last prep in the sense that post-prep 3 years later, I picked up jiu-jitsu. And that led me to learn to appreciate what my body could do for me and how I can move and feel athletic without necessarily focusing on my appearance. Because if anyone knows anything about jiu-jitsu, you kind of need to use your weight in order to be able to achieve things in that sport. And I had to get very comfortable with weighing more. So this time around, it was focus on what my body can do for me rather than what it looks like because I can't control that.
Yep.
I can eat the food, do the things, and the result will pay off if I do those things. So, I focus on getting very strong. And we're now stronger than I've actually, funnily enough, ever been.
Amazing.
So I'm very happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great goal to have because it will make you eat more food.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good to feel strong.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's good feeling.
Yeah. It's also just fabulous when you can outlift some people. It's
great.
Yeah, 100%.
Your goals during that reversing period don't particularly have to be physique based as well. I think it's important to have some non-physique based goals. And you mentioned that you've taken up running recently as well. Obviously a non-physique based sport, which will, funnily enough, improve your physique, full circle. But that's not the main intention with it.
No, I chose getting strong and then I chose running mainly because I found I needed something that could just allow me to work through some thoughts and feelings in my brain. And it's been very effective at that. But also I've, and I think a lot of people have experienced this where they'll say they can't do something or they're not a good runner or they're not someone that can do this. Yeah. And coming out of prep, I kind of went, okay, so I did the hard thing. What's another hard thing that I can do that I've told myself that I can't do? And that's run. I've always said, I'm not a runner. If you see me running, you should probably also start running because it means I'm running from something. Yeah, it's a terrible joke.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I don't run. Now I run because I wanted to prove that I could. And I am. I think we're up to my programmed run for this week is 4.5K, and it's been
That's unreal.
4 or 5
I've
weeks.
been following your
Yeah,
runs
thanks for all the
on
kudos.
Strava. No worries. It's been really cool to see.
Yeah, so proving to myself that I can do a prep. I got through it. I fucking won. Well, I mean, I kept third, but still win. I can also do the other hard thing, which is run and pick up other hard sports that I'd be generally too afraid to, either due to pain or apprehension of injury.
Yeah, running's obviously I've started that semi recently now, probably 4 months down the track now. And you just dread it at the start. You're just like, this is going to suck. And it does.
Yeah.
It sucks at the start, but the ascension with consistency, and I know you feel that now, you're starting to see how quickly you can improve.
100%.
And just, it's like those newbie gains again. It's like that new thing, and you're just like, oh my God, this feels awesome. You just get, it's dopamine.
Mad dopamine. It's great. You finish running, you're like, cool.
Yeah, people call it the runner's high. It's just dopamine.
Yep.
It's the same as lifter's high. It's a thing.
Yep.
Like when you hit a new PB and
Yeah. Like I experienced runner's high for the first time the other day, and I was like,
How good is
whoa,
it?
I thought this was a lie. No, it's not.
Yeah, and it
It's
hits
real.
hardest when you don't want to do it. Same as being in the gym.
Yep.
Same as like doing a leg day today or whatever
100%.
it might be. I talk about leg day all the time, but it's like when you don't want to do it and you do it, you feel incredible.
So much better.
Yeah. 100%.
Agreed.
I think talking about the reverse, did you find that maybe the reverse is harder because there was not a timeline on it? I feel like with a prep, there's a timeline. Yeah. And that makes it easier to know when you're in and out of that. Sometimes maybe with the reverse, you don't know. Yep. So it's kind of like, how long are we doing this for?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Was there a timeline on yours or no?
No.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
I think we'd set a general guide of how long it could be. Like I think if I look at my app, I think we estimated like 10 weeks.
Yeah.
It was a little longer than that. I think it's now been technically, we're 14. I want to say 14 weeks per show. And I entered into another cut about 2 weeks ago, just like as a bit of a maintenance kind of cut.
Clean up thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'd estimated between 8 to 10, I think, weeks, and it ended up being a little bit longer. For some, it can be a lot longer than that. I don't even know what the time frame was on my first one. 4 months, I guess, 20 weeks. Whenever like the kilos stopped coming on. I think that is it. Like if there's no time frame, you're not necessarily working towards a date or a specific moment in time.
Yeah.
It's just however long it takes. And that can be really hard for some people.
I guess that's why something like that can feel so hard, is because there's no goal behind it.
Yep.
It's just I have to do this, whereas maybe a time-based goal, and why having a goal is so important after achieving
100%.
what you achieved or what anyone would achieve doing a bodybuilding competition,
100%.
especially if you're not doing another competition 4 weeks later at nationals or however long
100%.
they have to do that.
No, 100%. I think, not having a necessary time frame, but then also not having a result that heavily is driven by how well you execute it. So other than if you don't execute a reverse correctly, you will gain excess body fat. That's the only thing stopping you from necessarily going off the rails. It's not as strong of a goal of, if I stick to this 110% and I put in my all of my effort, I might win. They're very, I feel like, kind of polarizing, really. They're completely different. So reverse can often feel harder because you don't have an end goal in sight. It's just however long it takes, and whatever it ends up looking like is what it ends up looking like, while also then dealing with the body fat gain and the softening of physique. Yeah. So it's a bit of a cyclone of potential trouble if done incorrectly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well said. Would you say your relationship with training in the gym has changed since the prep and everything like that?
Yeah. I would say that it has. We've actually increased my amount of training sessions in a week. So we've gone from 4 to 5 because I feel like my body can actually handle it now. My relationship to training, often, like in prep, it became very focused on maintaining my muscle. So it was just lifting in order to maintain it. So then I didn't end up on stage with no muscle left. Now it's very much a case of I'm using it to, one, motivate myself, because obviously I've got strength goals now, but also I'm finding that it builds my confidence. So I find the more I lift and the more strong I get, the more confident I feel, and then the more confident that I can train, because the more confident I feel in my training, the less likely I am actually to injure it, because then I'm not being apprehensive towards certain movements or guarding or doing kind of dumb stuff in the gym in order to avoid pain. So my relationship to my training, it was physique-based, now it's strength-based.
Cool.
I would say it's changed, and I find a lot more passion in it now that I'm not depleted and hungry. So I'm fueled and I really enjoy my training rather than towards the end where I was just doing it because I had to.
Yeah. And it's not just confidence inside the gym that you're talking about.
It's outside as well. Yeah,
like
100%.
lifting boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, it can be as simple as that. I'm not even even for me, I've moved house a lot for other people recently. It's literally as simple and stupid as it gets.
Yeah. Like I put together my couch the other day solo. It was something entirely. Freedom, big old Freedom couch from no, it wasn't from Freedom. It was from James Lane. This thing is huge and I had to do it all on my own. It was.
And did you think about the gym when you were doing it?
But I did lift like I was doing a deadlift. So I used good form.
That's great.
Caitlyn, what's one lesson that you've taken away from your bodybuilding prep that you've related back to your everyday life?
I can do hard shit.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, predictable.
Do the hard shit.
I can do the hard shit. It's a case of sometimes I think it's human nature to avoid things that are hard because we travel down the path of least resistance. We don't want to do the hard thing because it's hard and it's scary. So the lesson, one of the biggest lessons is probably I can do the hard shit, but also that discipline is what drives a lot, but you don't necessarily need motivation to be disciplined. A lot of people in prep said, wow, you must be so motivated and so disciplined. And I was like, 90% of the time, I didn't want to do any of it. I just wanted to sleep.
Yeah.
So if you have having those structures in order to achieve the goal, I knew when my training was happening. I knew when my steps were happening. It was a non-negotiable. I started viewing my things that I needed to tick off as if it was work. I would come in, I would do my training because I have to. It's like if we can't just not show up to work because we don't feel like showing up to work. And if that's the case, you're probably going to get fired pretty quick.
Yeah.
So when I stopped, and this swap over kind of happened before prep, but when I stopped viewing my training as a negotiable thing and more as something that I need to do because it's paying my dues to myself, that was the lesson. And that was what I found switched in my brain, because now my training happens regardless of whether or not I feel like it. Yeah, sometimes I don't feel like doing it, but I show up anyway because you have to. If your goal doesn't care about how you feel. My steps happen.
Love that.
My cardio happens because it's me showing up for myself, even when I don't necessarily feel like it. So you don't necessarily have to have motivation. 90% of the time, motivation disappears. We don't always feel motivated. And if we don't always feel motivated, it's never going to happen. But you also don't need to be the most disciplined. You just need to have structure and routines that kind of hold you accountable to your schedule.
Yeah.
And finding where to fit it in the schedule and actually showing up as if it was like work.
Yeah.
You have to show up to work even if you don't feel like it.
Something Sam and I preach pretty much every episode is that what you can do in the gym or let's say with running can translate to work, to personal life, to anything.
100%.
And what helps with discipline is keeping things simple. So I feel like you would have keeping,
yeah. It's a word now.
I feel like you would have kept things simple in the, simplest terms.
Yes.
But that would have helped you stay on the course with your structure.
Yeah.
And everything like that. And what you do for yourself, what a lot of people don't realize, what you do for yourself is contagious.
Yeah.
You've got clients
flows on.
that see what you were able to do. You've got friends that aren't even in the gym or whatever. And they're like, maybe they're like, if Caitlyn can do it, I can do it. No.
Funny enough, yes. I have had a couple of people do that. Yeah. I'm in talks with a couple of my clients.
Yeah. So it's just something that like if you remove yourself from that situation, you don't have to. It just naturally creates this contagious energy within the people around you.
Yeah.
That you're like it's happened with my mates. They're like, oh my God, you know, I'll just go there. This guy lost his mother and went into business and did all this stuff. Is like, Jesus Christ, it's contagious. Like people, I've got mates who have said they look up to me, and I'm not even saying this to be a dickhead, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's something that I realised for myself, and that's something that I want you to realise as well.
100%.
It's contagious. So well done.
Yeah, and I think it also teaches you a lot about yourself. Like if you can show up day in, day out, even when it feels freaking hard, you end up with a lot more self-respect and a lot more confidence.
How good's feeling proud of yourself?
Oh, it's fucking great. I mean, I was proud of myself before, but prep definitely taught me a lot in terms of how I show up for myself matters. And doing the hard thing, you can end up with a lot of self-respect and a lot of self-worth from that, even if it technically prep is just physique based, and it's a very odd sport because you get compared to other people. But if you can get through the prep, you end up with more belief in yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. And it teaches you who's in your life and who's around you as well. And someone said something on social media the other week, and it was like your circle impacts your goals, and who you are friends with will impact how you're able to show up for those. I strongly agree. Like if you've got a good support circle and they 100% support you, you are more likely to thrive in that. Yeah. My friends, I don't think any of them really understood what the hell was going on. They were like, what are you doing? Why are you weighing your lettuce, you weirdo? But they showed up and they supported me even though they didn't necessarily
They're just like, there's got to be a reason.
Yeah, they're like, she's gone crazy. She's weighing her lettuce. But we love her and we're going to show up and support her. And so I honestly say I don't think I could have gotten through that prep without the support circle that I had. Like it doesn't get necessarily dark. Some people have a really dark experience with prep, but I didn't get necessarily dark, but it can be quite an isolating sport because not many people do understand it. So knowing that I had a support circle like I had you guys, I'd come in, I may not say much, but I would at least know I could say hello and have a yap if I needed to. Having my friends, having my clients, having like everyone around me helped get through that because I knew that I was not alone in it. Even though I was technically doing it to myself, I still felt supported and surrounded by people. Awesome. So it teaches you your circle as well. Yep. The people who really want what's best for you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well said.
If there's one thing that you would like the listeners to take away from this conversation, what would it be?
Don't skimp on the reverse.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I like that.
And treat your training like a non-negotiable. Like treat your self-care, your training, your nutrition, everything like it's a non-negotiable, because if you don't, that's the first way to shoot yourself in the foot with a fitness goal, but also your life will change if you do. So, and also do it now just in case. That's what I like to say. I've heard
do it
that.
now just in case.
Yeah, I heard it on a podcast a few years ago, and it's
good.
clicked in my brain, and I'm obsessed with it
now.
now.
People are going to hear it on this podcast.
Yeah. It's do it now just in case, because we will always find something else to prioritize. I like to do everything first so that I know that it's done and I'm not going to find something else to replace it with.
Yep.
Well said.
So do it now just in case.
Excellent.
Nice.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kate.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm unsure what episode we're up to, guys. It's either 36 or 37. 6 or
Not
7.
even. I think
we will find out. But we hope to see you on the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a follow on Spotify. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.